They're always good to get together. We talk about employees and mainly board members.
Oh, yeah.
You're good.
But you're the ring and all. Nobody's got a mic on.
Yep.
I'm always wired, but
That
it's
number isn't even in my.
called you
So
from
who did I?
697-3216. Is that in your contacts?
That is.
Oh, yeah,
But not
okay.
the 459-7575, whoever that is.
We can take this 5G for the sun doesn't shine as far as I'm concerned. I had that one between the flip phone and.
All right, it's working.
Just call me, sir. 213. What's your name? Didn't you?
Sarah on the Zoom.
Right here.
Great. I will, without objection, I will make a motion to approve the agenda and the previous committee meeting minutes from the 2nd of February. Arm wrestle, okay. Any discussion? Discussion? No. Okay, all in favor? Public comments, Tira, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
All right. Okay, I have any comments. Think of, so come to number 7, discussion, then motion to approve monthly bills, journal entries for previous month and financial.
Mm-hmm.
I'll second it.
You want to make a motion? I don't make a motion.
Oh, I'll make the motion.
Okay. Okay. Discussion. All in favor? That's it. Moving right along. Number 8, discussion on draft wage study progress and future payroll initiative.
There's nothing in your packet. We're still at the collection of data. Had some staff meetings, get their feedback on some initiatives based on some of the survey comments that we'll talk about. So right now, what we've done is we've taken PAA's 10 comparables and we've built a product that looks like that of all those cities comparable.
Okay.
So now we basically, it's about 100 comparable cities, villages, towns that are our size. Now I did add our local neighbors at the bottom that are bigger than 5,000 people, just to give you some context. So all our duty positions are on the top. As you see, there's a lot of blanks because we're still collecting data from those clerks and whatnot. It's taking a little bit more time. So that should be ready by next month. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see that. And what we're doing at the bottom of that is giving you an average of everyone on the sheet. And then I'm going to bounce that against how much we are paying for the same positions to give you a percentage difference. So you guys can look at it average wise, or if you want to specifically go to a city and say, why aren't we paying, or, you know, we pay the same as X city, village. So progress is being made there. We got a lot of good data that's we've collected. The reality is just from the data we've collected so far, and I sat down with the department heads, it would roughly take us $25,000 to bring everyone to the averages. It's across all our positions. That's police, public works, clerk, everybody. Per year, just to bring everyone up to right now what the average number is for all those duty positions. So that's a one-time inject of 25 grand. Everyone's pay scales. So it's not everyone gets 3%. It may end up being a police officer is going to get a $2,000 a year raise. A public works guy might end up getting a $400 to get him to the average, just to talk the comparables. So that's where the 25,000 across all our departments come from. That'll get us to a 2024 anticipated salary. So we won't have to relook at this for at least another 18 months. So what we've done, this data is 2023. We've added a 2% COLA at the end of this year. And then that's how we're calculating if we did this at budget time to bring everyone up to an average base. It would be 25,000, and then we'd be good through 2024 into 2025 without having to touch payroll again.
Talking about average and bringing them up, and you're talking about base. And what about those earning more than?
Okay, that's a good point. And again, I didn't want to provide that. I just want to give you an update.
Okay.
There's only one position that we are paying 103% of the average. That's our water department guy. Everyone else is below. Yeah. And even in his case, this is comparable to a water superintendent at like a Rapids water station. It's the closest we can find. We don't technically call Jason our department head for water. He's part of the crew. But I was using those comparables. But even using those comparables, the average salary for those guys is $59,600. So we pay our guy $61,000. So that's the only category that we wouldn't have to do any adjustment. We wouldn't take him down. We'd keep him where he is. But he's the only one that's above. Every other position, from you could say administrator all the way to our deputy clerk, every position, it's there's nothing crazy. I mean, the lowest is 94%. A police officer and our deputy clerk. Everyone else is above 94% of the average. And that's where if you did an average, if you wanted to get us to the average, you got to remember what the PA audit gave us was, it gave us those 10 cities. It gave us then a band that an administrator would normally get this amount. You could pay him less, you could pay him more, and that gave you a spectrum of numbers. So this would bring us to giving everybody this amount in the middle. Now, we could individually say, you know what? You don't make the average. You don't meet the criteria for the average based on your new whatever. So I'm going to present you all the bandwidth of what we would hire any position as a newbie all the way up to a 20-year seasoned veteran. So that'll give you the bandwidth. The number we're going to give you exact comparables on is to bring everyone to the most recent 2024 number average would be this number, X number. And X number right now for everybody across our board is $25,000 for 1 year extra.
Are we just talking wages or are we looking at benefits?
We haven't touched anything with benefits. This does not cover benefits because even in our initial discussions with about half of that list, the reality is no one's touching our benefits.
So our benefits might equal out to some of the wages that we have.
Yes.
Where and I look at the survey too, is,
Yeah.
I mean, 55% of the employees are paid, the rest is benefits are.
Totally agree. Yeah. And that's why it's good for you all to know what the range should be for any of our positions, because then we could have a discussion by individual of he's a new hire. He needs to be down here. But this person's 20-year seasoned person that'd be hard to replace with 20 years experience. They need to be average or above. So it really becomes a more than an annual 2% across the board discussion if we go down that road, at least to reset everybody. Now, once we reset everybody, we get everybody we update their pay or recommended. We update their recommended pay to get them to a 2024 number that's comparable to over 100 municipalities our size. Then the discussion will go into two veins that is tied to the survey. We're either going to talk about the annual COLAs that we've been doing for many, many years. Cost of living increases by percentage for everybody the same. I think your point on that was, the administrator might come up with an extra $1,000 if you did that, where Mr. lowest ranked public works guy may get $200. So that's the problem with COLAs. Or we're having a discussion, you saw feedback in your survey of a step type program internal to the whole department here, that all our positions, you'd be able to show growth in your position without having to worry about somebody retiring, dying, leaving, there'd be growth. We have a quasi system in public works. We have a quasi system in the police, but we have no system at all in any of the other positions. It's really only here. You know, the clerk's the clerk, unless you raise the clerk's pay, she can't go to a step 1, step 2, step 3 for years of service. So we're gonna provide you some data on that. And based on the survey, less than 10% of the full-time workforce are not interested in that, but almost 80% are want to get more information on that. They're very interested in that, and you'll see some of their comments there.
And you hope to have something
That'll be April, yeah.
that we can add the.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just kind of showing you the products we're going in case we're on all track. So we're getting a lot of the feedback from the staff, the survey part of it, as well as department heads, getting their sense of you know, how drastic we should go, if at all. And you'll be provided that summary from them. You'll provided the product showing the actual number crunching, and then we'll have you know, we either wait till budget time or we have the discussion. Do we want to start biting this a little bit at the apple throughout the rest of the year to reset everybody instead of one big $25,000 chunk, or wait till budget time, or just go to a step program? The problem with going straight to a step program, we have to set the baseline number. And this whole discussion based on y'all was, let's refresh the PAA, let's get the most current numbers. So I think we do need to do some type of resetting, and then we start building the steps off of that. Yeah, so that's kind of the update. Unless you got a specific question, you'll have a lot more data next month to look at and discuss. Sure.
My opinion.
Anything else on that? Okay, number 9, discuss the current continuity of operating.
All right, so this came out based on some inquiries by, I think, Tiara and some of y'all. We kind of had this done. It's been informal within the department since my arrival. Once we sat down, put pen to paper, and laid it out specifically, the document you're looking at, just what I call the bench plan, will show you if a key leader, not everybody. I'm not worried about our newest hire mock leaving for the day. We fill that internal. We don't need a bench plan for that. If a key leader is departing for a extended period of time, this would be our fix. The reality is, for your administrator and clerk, there is no immediate backup. There's just coverage, but there's coverage with acceptable loss of operations. I mean, we got to understand that. Yeah, my phone will be on me. I'll be in, you know, Acapulco, and my phone will be on me. I'll try to answer a question, but there won't be someone that could package up the right products that you all require. Okay. Same with our clerk, specifically clerk treasurer. There's some state mandated legal issues that negates us saying, well, Diane's here, Kim will do it. That's just physically impossible. We would have to, and Kim's fully aware of this, we would have to get Kim trained up. She says no, she wants nothing to do with that for just reasons. And I got no problem with that. She's not a deputy clerk. She's the front office. So if we brought someone in on a part-time basis, they would go through some training, some what I call left seat, right seat ride with the individual there, with Kim or Diane, and then that person could step in for extended period of times and cover. We're living through it right now. Diane's gone for the week. Basic actions are continuing, but anything to do with financial things, I basically table till Monday. So if someone asked me right now, I need you to cut a check from the village to pay XYZ, I'd say, wait till Monday. That's just how we'll operate. So that's with that one. Deputy clerk, it's kind of an all hands on deck. Kim goes out. Obviously, it's just a reverse. Diane definitely covers down on everything Kim does with answering phones, collecting payments, and that type of stuff. If there's an engagement with the citizen, then I jump in and help out there. So that's Moxnick's one. There's nothing concerning there for us. If you go to our police chief, obviously a large gap that we've been living the past few months here with our one officer down. We don't have a physical presence of a police chief per se. If the chief's gone, we do rank up one of our officers. We'd have already built into our code that we would pay that individual an extra stipend to act as the chief for a period of time. I honestly don't think we've ever actioned that. All right. So at least with Scott Drew, we haven't actioned that. We didn't see the need to execute that. And I think, speaking bluntly, both of those officers, while they will say they would act as the chief, it'll be in name only. And I think that's totally good statement. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You're following policy for the extra whatever and all that. Because, the way I did it, and the board never said anything negative about it, so I continued as when I was out for any extended time, 5 days or more, Lon was paid that wage. There's no, and he was clearly identified as the assistant chief, which brings in a whole parameter of things that he can make decisions by state law that otherwise he could not without that administrative title.
Sure. And if we get to a actual, if we haven't run into a physical point where he is gone physically incapacitated where that needed to happen, just a guy ranks up and says he's just acting as the police officer on duty.
But Lon was.
I understand. I understand should have a legal memo that's, yeah. Yes. So in that scenario, no, we don't have a direct cover. We would rank up our next patrol officer. The challenge we have there is perfect situation. We have our next patrol officer that's on light duty for 2 more weeks, 1 more week at least. So he physically can't be ranked up. And then you'd rank up Josiah, but he's spinning around doing coverage, basic coverage. So I don't need him acting as the chief sitting in an office, that type of stuff. So there's some challenges there that physically we don't have the body to throw in there to assist with that assistant chief, acting chief title. We just cover it and covered it as we see fit. The solution there is, it's not really a solution. It was what we've been working towards, is that if we go down the road of a senior officer, SRO / senior officer, then that would greatly assist in that realm, just like explained by past Chief Zerflu here, is that we would actually rank up that individual to be the chief for the period of time. He's more senior. He knows the paperwork end of it, and it's a non-issue then. But that is a large cost. You all see that. That's hiring a new guy, higher rank, full benefits that could go into the $120K a year. And that's really directly tied to, even though it's authorized, it's directly tied to funding. Fire chief, it's internal. The next senior officer gets ranked up, and they have a system. They had 2 deputy chiefs. Well, they will have 1. They will go back to 2, and no issues there whatsoever. If the only thing for clarity, even if it's for a long extended period of time, they would need to come back to us as a department, come back to me saying, hey, I would like my quarterly stipend to go to this guy because I'm going to be gone for 3 months. We wouldn't pay Jason the stipend if he's not the chief for 3 months. We would have a discussion and say, hey, Tim Leverance needs to get the stipend because he's being the chief. But that's an internal discussion that I would make you all aware of, but that's what that physically would happen that way. Public works supervisor is, we have a lot of 3 senior guys. They all would flow right up to the top, and we have a built-in internal additional stipend that they get, and that is executed on a regular basis throughout the year. So I don't see any issues with Ben being on an extended period of time, because all 3 of those guys have enough experience that it'd be seamless for the most part, I think, and we can cover it pay-wise, and we have been covering it pay-wise, so no big deal. Same with challenging or water and sanitation, somewhat challenging. We do have some depth. If Jason or Ken is gone, obviously Ben is certified on all this stuff, and then it goes down into 1 more level past Ben. The only thing I would say we just need to all be clear on is, while we don't need to hire an assistant in either of those areas, we just need to make sure we're funding the training for them to get the certifications yearly, so we can have that bench. And if I lose a operator, I have the guy that we train and got certifications that can go in there. If we start cutting back on the training and we don't get certifications, then when I lose that guy, I may have a body, but he won't be allowed to operate it
We're not. doing
legally.
that, are we?
We're not. No. We do the training. That's why we have 3 guys deep in both of those areas. So we just got to make sure we consistently fund that training, which is about $5,000 a year that we put into that pot for the public works. In summary, the 2 impacts is the front office. I had a discussion. If you all wanted the comfort of more of a bench and a warm body in a seat, the village could go down the route of a part-timer for coverage of these 3 folks over here. I'm part of this 3 over here. So you're in the $25,000, $30,000 a year range. This person comes in 2 or 3 days a week on a regular basis, and they're shadowing us 3. They're getting familiar with us 3's jobs. So I'll use our intern as an example. If she could run some of this and knows kind of what I do back there, she would get familiar with that over there. So whoever's gone, we would bring in that part-timer to fill that billet for whatever period of time. And otherwise, she's just assisting, or they're just assisting in general day-to-day stuff.
The first thing, I hate to go back with the 50. Generally, the first, when they retire, either retire or you're forever, and we fill in any extended leaves, and Karen Thiel has done that. In fact, Karen Thiel's still on the books for the monthly or yearly review, or what is that in May? I forget the name.
That's fair. Yep. Yeah.
And I know she has been very receptive. I to save some money in this and to get a better person than an assistant, not knocking the assistant. I would like to see us, if Karen would agree, approach her about the possibility of a retainer. So that we have some protection, like God forbid, but if Diane had to miss a month, that's when you're really gonna need something. That's for her insurance. Karen can step in fully trained already, except for the yearlies.
Wasn't that one time part-time position for treasurer? I think when Rita was there, it was part-time.
At the beginning, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that there's a need for it being full-time, but we had all staff at that time. One thing was financially going on. But I agree with Joe on that. I think that would be something that we might want to look into is Karen.
Yeah.
And I know that they've done that even with Diane was the treasurer. But she passed, and she trained the other one when they were coming in.
Yeah. And that was explained to me. Ben and Diane and Kim all mentioned that's kind of informally how they did it. I would offer, if that's the comfort level for you all, I need to formalize that, because the reality is we don't have. Ms. Steele may be a great person, but unless she keeps up to date on the day-to-day state requirements, we would be doing a disservice to our community to say, hey, I know you know the job, come on in here. But she wouldn't have the certifications and qualifications. Yeah. So we would have to make it more formal. We put her on a retainer, and every time there'd be some training, we would say, hey, Ms. Steele, can you go to this and pay for it? And we would just formalize it if we want to go down that road. The same with Lyser, I think. Yeah, for over there. Ben said they could bring in one of the old guys from over there, the old timers, and run that and help run that. We would need to formalize that too. Certification is not so much, but just familiarity.
Really gotta formalize that.
Yeah. Okay.
So for yourself and Diane, you guys have, like, I'm thinking like when a teacher's out, you have sub plans. So do you guys have kind of a folder of like, if there's some things that are specific to Fort Edward, that maybe if we would go to an interim who's done the job, they understand it, but not necessarily some of the ins and outs of Fort Edward. So do you guys have like a sub plan?
We don't have an actual handover book per se. All our stuff, and that could be a project for one of the interns. All our stuff is on the server in very detailed files that I'll be honest, when what's his name, Dwayne, swapped with me, there was no handout. It was just look in the computer. You'll figure it out. Now I'm not saying I would do that to whoever. But that's a great start point that we have a place that's documented. We would have to pull it out as if you want to do the report, go to here and that type stuff. And that's something I could definitely launch an intern on to start helping craft that up. Yeah.
Copy of like, here's how you hit.
Agree. Yeah. Probably Diane more so than me, because she's very, what she has to do is very regimented, that has a file system, and she has a checklist, because I think whoever passed it on to her gave her that checklist. She's still using the checklist.
And then Karen passed it on.
Yeah. So she's very, that's better there. Here, I think just based on the expansion of the roles of your administrator from more of a engineer guy to you're doing everything. You're doing economic and a bunch of other nonsense. I would have to clean up that to be able to point people in the right direction. But it's all here, so that's a good thing. So.
And Karen deal with that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yep. Mhm. So, for your thoughts, discussions, if you need to make an action, we can make an action. I just say this is, we're comfortable with the plans we have now. We're comfortable with the coverage. Yeah, there'll be some, I won't say balls dropped, but balls delayed in any one of us, long-term departure or long-term, couple week departure for vacation or whatnot.
Is it worth the cost of a retaining?
Oh, you're talking the retiree option? I think more it's just having a written agreement that this would be the rate we would pay you. If we require training, we'll pay for that. I don't think we would treat it as like our lawyer and every month she gets $1,000.
No.
No.
That's something that
Just if
Karen
we
is interested.
Mhm.
Karen sit down and-
Yeah.
And have Diane or not to talk about an agreement. but
Yeah.
If they have any questions, and
Agree. Yeah.
Karen really,
Right, if she would have, something would happen, Diane, well, anybody, or you're in the hospital for a month or two, would Karen step up and?
Yep.
Would you take it for a short term then?
how short, how long.
No, that's definitely, we'll definitely formalize that. The main benefit of getting a limited part-time employee is it really works towards the continuity for potential departures and retirements. And that's what we don't have. We kind of pull our hair out if someone leaves, we go through a hiring process. You maybe find an interim or you don't. Having that float, and that's why I say whatever person you got for your front office would shadow 3 positions. Having that float there, even on a part-time basis, would give not only the staff, I think you all the comfort level that if Diane or Kim won the lotto and said, I'm gone tomorrow, we would have somebody that, okay, here you go.
Have someone in mind.
Well, no. I mean, we haven't seeked out. The only one that showed any interest, because she worked with us last summer, is that intern, Kelly. She's local. She wants government service. She's kind of on the periphery. I observed what they do over there. And it's interests her, she's like, I need to sit down more with them. I say, yeah, whenever you want, go over there. So, I mean, that's an immediate name, but I would we would still do a search of a part-timer if anyone has interest or experience. That'd be the only thing that would probably be more comforting, to have that level of backup, as well as the potential to fill in for a future retiree amongst your 3 here. Yeah.
Well, I think at this point,
Yeah.
something with Karen would be ideal, and then when budget time comes, if we have. That's something we can look at that time.
Mhm.
And, we don't know what the budget's gonna look like. We know what it was last year. It got a little tight towards the end. But if we do have, the potential of more state aid or other things that come our way, I think that's something that maybe we should look at. Unless something feels different, I think that we have immediately look at asking Karen, and if she has no interest at all.
that front office desk job, I don't care where the small town is. One thing that's also in common already with one of those people that responded to you looking for information. It's a person who sits in the front room. We went from Bev Podvin, when I first got hired, she had been there for quite a while. Then we went to Mary Armatowski, and we all know Mary. By golly, she ran a good ship, and everybody felt comfortable with it. And now we're with Kim and the same thing. I mean, not saying we gotta hire somebody from town, but somebody with that the people are gonna feel real comfortable. And all three of those ladies, especially Kim and Mary, were able to provide a lot of information to the people, so they didn't even have to go up the chain of command. But they knew they always could. And I think that above all, that's something you can't pay a wage to get.
You know, just to bring up some other things, and this might be different. I remember when they were all out of the office, sometimes you would go over there and sit, and I know that I would go over there and sit and take bills at sometimes too, and you know, we give them receipts, and we did.
Oh, sure. No,
I mean, to keep the
Yep.
office open.
Yeah,
and everybody was
agree.
gone.
Yeah.
Or
I don't wanna give you another duty there, Chief, but,
or the one time Diane was on vacation and Kim had to go somewhere, and Joe Terry called me on the phone and says, hey, the girl's gonna be gone this afternoon, or like from 10 in the morning on. And I said, what you thinking? He said, I got the note already made up, and I said, I agree. So we just put on, sorry, due to unforeseen
you close it
circumstances.
later.
Yes.
Okay.
Karen, if she would want to, I think that's the best first step. Second step would be to look at a part-timer, only because we also have to keep in mind that we're bringing back NEFCO stuff, so that might be more work, more phone calls, more, so just to have somebody as a backup for that kind of stuff too, especially
Well, I
in
think
the beginning, that's not an
two-
awful idea. Right.
Yeah, we definitely gonna, because, you know, you're asking part-time, you gotta find that right person that wants
Right,
to
that wants
take
part-time.
a $25,000 a year job, be on call. I mean, that's a unique person.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
we monitor it. We start seeing something happen, we'll bring it on the table. We do budget, we got part-timers there. We budget $5,000 a year for front office for part-time, usually summer help. So, we've started down that road to build a pot of money, or used to seeing a pot of money for that utilization. So yeah, it's nothing that we can turn on if we needed to, so. All right. Yeah, we'll go to your survey. So, since I didn't get any specific feedback since our last meeting, I decided just to get this out and get it out to I sent it out to the entire people that we all pay. So 90 people potential. What you see in front of you, I cut it off at the full timers, because I know once we start getting feedback from a guy on a board, trustee, a firefighter, part timer, it'll skew the numbers by default. It will skew them, but it won't give you the sense of what your full time team is saying. It's still open. I got now, I think 20 people so far have responded, so they can still, and I'll send out reminders to them. So we'll try to get that number up, the eventual number of everyone that the village pays, so we can get their feedback. Because as you read, there are some questions that, irregardless if you're full-time, it would be nice to get feedback. Do we put information out? Do you like whatever? So, we'll continue that open. But this is where, for just your full-time force, I think fire chief is in there. That's why it's 15. So he did respond, but the summary says it all. I mean, and kind of with me and the department heads, we kind of we get a sense of this. I get a sense of this for sure in my engagements with everyone, as well as our meetings. There are no burning issues with our full-time staff. If you see the responses, and there was no, arm twisting. I don't have the names. I just know 15 people responded. That's the way SurveyMonkey is. I didn't ask for a name. So they had, full anonymity to do whatever, or say whatever, and I'm fine with that. The majority were very appreciative of they feel appreciated. They have the tools. I was worried about that one because no one really said, no, we got everything we need. We get the job done. And they were appreciative of the current pay as well as the benefits. More so, like Lon said, the benefits were a high point. Information is getting passed significantly between our departments. We did like quarterly little huddles last year, but now we've gone to monthly, and we may even start going to twice a month, just based on the amount of work with department heads. So usually the Monday before a board meeting, I'll bring everyone in here. We'll give an update by department, as well as I'll pass some information out for the month, and that seems to suffice. We don't have a lot that we do because I'm seeing all the department heads every day, so it's not like they go off and I don't see them for a month. So I'm not worried about that. The employees right now, very satisfied, in some cases extremely satisfied with not only their department leadership all the way up through the administrator. We put a question in there, as well as trustees or elected officials, I said, and there was positive comments there that they feel all the leadership was very supportive of our village staff, which is a good thing. 80% did say they'd be interested in some form of pay scale instead of what we have now. So that's what you'll be shown, and provided some data. Those 3 bullets are something that, they've been on my radar. Not really the third one, that's y'all, but they've been on my radar, and we definitely need to address this whole longevity thing. And I'll just take the heat round on that one. I was never kind of made very clear on what exactly that was. I knew what it was, and I knew the amount. I totally mistakenly thought that was an hourly rate that these guys get after 5 years. No, it's monthly. So really, you could be here 5+ years, and I think our guys would get, or the people that are getting now are getting maybe an extra $100 a year, if that.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing. It's pretty sad. Well, I'm just saying. So I will definitely be bringing this to you during budget time, that if we don't go down a route of massive pay increase, let's reward something for longevity and people staying here, and reward it appropriately. Because to give somebody here with 20 years of service just an extra $100 a year, that's hell. I'll take $100 out of my pocket and give them a gift certificate. I'll say, here you go, because that's really sad. No, you can write that down. It's just that didn't make sense to me. So we need to look at that. And then the whole internal growth thing is just the step thing. Even for our positions in our public works that has the most, what I'll call, ranks, it's really a rank based on someone leaving. It's not a rank based on years or based on experience. It's truly based on the next guy's got to either die or retire.
Well,
And that doesn't work too well.
I disagree a little bit on that, because we get your skill positions like water and dirty water, you have 2 or 3 in the same pay grade if they're.
Yeah, so you're right. You can. What's holding that back is more of the environment, that if I just hire a brand new guy off the street and he's a go-getter and he wants to get his water and wastewater certification, which he could, he would immediately go to the head of the pile, and he would bump out a 15-year veteran on pay. Now, I'm a fan of rewarding experience and training more so than longevity. That's just me. Because if you're willing to put yourself out and do extra, you should be rewarded appropriately. So that's a problem with that. But there's a way we can work that, where you get recognized for your experience or your training certificates, but it doesn't bump you to the head of the class and it really pisses off everyone ahead of you. I mean, you can see where that's going.
It'll be, you do. We are going to have a very interesting. The only thing you're lacking here, Colonel, is I thought you were just about what you cut off on the survey. Some of the participants was a lot more colorful.
Oh yeah.
Much than it is now.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Even on one of these responses,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who these are, but I'm very proud to work for the village, even though I know I can earn more money elsewhere. And I think that's something that we have to look at. For one, we have a small village. We operate on a tight budget because of the times. We went through that when I was employed here and other people were employed. There were good years, there were bad years that were tight. But I think that's sums it up, that they're very, proud to work for the village, even though they know, you know, any one of our employees can jump ship anytime. If they do so, that's up to them. We'll have to replace them, anybody can be replaced. And then we'll have, that's our job, is to replace that employee or bosses, of course, or the board. But, I think that kind of sums it up with the feeling of that I get from most employees is, yeah, they can go somewhere else, but they enjoy working for the village and they're proud of it. They're proud of this community. So, it's not always about money.
But I think we
Agree.
always have to keep money in mind
Yes,
because it's still a factor. And granted, they comment on that.
you're right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're glad to.
No, you're right. You gotta have
It's
it's a work environment
Exactly.
and it's more than pay.
More than money.
It's the flexible schedule. We work with all of my people. Anyone can walk in my door and in most cases, they don't have to walk in my door. They go to the department head. Hey, I need 4 hours off. I got something happened to family and it's not an issue here. If you try to do that in Rapids, you'd be filling out paperwork all day in HR saying, or the sheriff's department. Oh, wait a minute there, Slick. You can't go
Right.
anywhere.
Oh, no, you
So,
don't have the
so
time.
we got to have the right environment from our leadership so they feel comfortable talking to anybody, to pay, to benefits. And I think we have a great mash of that. To Sue's point, yes, you have to be cognizant of the physical numbers because we are migrating from a very village centric team that are living here and i.e. can just walk to work and drive 2 minutes and not a problem. And okay, I don't need a lot of gas money because I'm here. Half our workforce is not in the village. And I'm not saying it's bad, it's just saying now they're having to lock in those numbers of what's my commuting time, what's my pay for my gas bill, that type of stuff. So that's where we have to kind of balance those numbers that we keep it kind of equal,
I think that,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing that you brought up, Oz, and, I know that a while back, quite a while, the state changed that you can live anywhere you want and be employed in this county. When I got hired, we had to reside in the village.
Mhm.
And to be honest, if I did reside in the village, I might have taken that step and went somewhere else. Because I grew up in Rapids, I might have had that opportunity, and if I was living in Rapids, maybe I would have taken that opportunity. I knew they always paid well. I knew the county always paid well. We have lost part-time officers to the county. We've lost other employees. I always think the good incentive to have the people live. When I came and I did live in the village, I became part of the village and raised my family here in the village, got to know people in the village. And, it was harder to say, hey, I'm gonna look for other employment elsewhere.
I agree.
But the working environment has changed also where people do not always live where they
Really
work
work, right.
now.
I mean, for Mr. Mock's position, we've had 15 applicants. He was the only one villager.
Right.
Everyone else was, hell, as far as Marshfield. When we looked at all those candidates.
When you have spouses.
Yeah. And we give points for living in the village,
And I think
part of the
that's a good-
hiring
I think
process.
that's a good idea.
Work.
And in that case,
I
it,
think we got a good employee there.
very much so. Yeah. So the rest of the questions, let's get specific. I mean, you see the graph, and then if there was others, that's your others. I cut out the specific responses there. Sometimes you do something like this and you kind of got to, bite your cheek saying, oh, I wonder what they're going to say. And there's none here. And it's not that we twisted any arms. There's none that says this place stinks and I don't like it and blah, blah, blah. And that's a good thing. And then at the very end, where it's a free for all, there's your questions of your responses from the totality of your team there that wanted to put pipe in their own commentary. And yeah, I mean they're all good statements. Like I said, I jotted down the few that we need to follow up on and either address as a collective when it comes to longevity and some other stuff. But
Marking the one about the fire department.
yeah, well, yeah. So it's good. It's a good sense of the organization. I think we'll see how the numbers increase with the others that respond. But I appreciate you guys prompting us to do it. I wasn't worried about it, but it's good to have something documented that we can follow through on if there's any concerns. It gives them all an opportunity to chime in. I will, yeah, once I get on.
Okay, so like.
Oh,
there's a
sure,
Good
yeah,
base,
yeah.
so then like if things start hitting the fan in a couple of years, okay, what went?
Yeah.
Which direction, right?
Yes.
Like what do we need to pay more attention? I think it's a good base.
And we'll be doing, this kind of reminded me of the need, we got to do a village satisfaction survey of our residents. We did it 2 years ago. We'll refresh that one, get some newer questions. Just keep it to 10 and we'll send it out on Facebook. And that'll get us an idea of, are we providing the right services? Are our parks in good condition? Are our roads in good condition? Get everyone to chime in, present that probably to the full board rather than just this committee, but, it'll be a good feedback model. So,
Number 11, discussed in old.
we had nothing from the minutes on old business.
New business. Correspondence procedure.
Nothing on FHA.
Right, agenda items for next meeting. And,
Possibly the survey, if we have more data on that. You'll definitely have your wage study, initial swag at that. And it'll be April, so you'll get, I know Diane gives you the monthlies. I basically summarize the big ones into a couple pages for your first quarter budgetary analysis. So where we're standing across the entire budget when it comes to the big items that we spend money on. So you'll see those numbers for the first quarters.
Personally, really, couple of things. It'd be under 2 reams or 3 reams or
It'll be like the pit packet right there. There you go. Right there.
okay, all right.
That, I mean, you see, you reminded me, and one alibi, and it may end up here. I'm sorry, it'll be quick. It may end up here because it's a money thing. Collecting data from the people that managing the old age home, not the Edgewater, but the apartments.
oh,
So the apartments and the senior living behind the apartments. So they 50-year lease from the village. We own the land. They pay us about $4,000 a year. They're 30 years into their 50-year lease. They are at a point in time that it is unsustainable for them. They are not making money based on the model that they have. And based on the agreement, there may be a possibility that they will be going into, I don't want to say foreclosure, but not be able to sustain their model. Restructure. So they have thrown an initial ask out to the village. Would you guys entertain just donating the land to us so we can change our model, our fee structure? Because what's forcing them in their model is the agreement with us. We as a village 30 years ago came up with a model to provide low-income housing. It has to be low-income housing and it has to be at certain rates, and that they're stuck with that because we own the land. And in 20 years, we get the land, the buildings, and everything back. So we become landlords then. I don't think any of you want that. I don't want that. I don't need to be managing 50 people living over there. So the initial discussion, they're providing me some data. I'll bring it up probably through Pitt, but basically here, you and Pitt, and we'll show you what the recommended course of action should be. We basically, the better option is getting it back on the tax rolls, because right now they don't pay any taxes. They pay us $4,000. If we get it back on the tax rolls, they'll actually be paying us $8,000 a year. So to me, it's a no-brainer. But I'm not saying that they pay us more. They're able then to appropriately charge the right folks in there, and they won't be kicking people out. They won't be doing anything like that. It's just the model can change to a more reasonable model, a sustainable model, and then it's back on the tax roll. So the county gets a swag at it, the school and so on, and then we're out of the business of owning that land. So we would either donate or at a very low cost, sell that land to them, and they keep all the buildings, and it becomes a private enterprise, not a government-sponsored low-income housing project, because that's what it is now. So more to follow on that. I'll have the details on it, but they were wanting to get some movement on that because their bosses are coming. They're all out of Madison. They're coming to that point in time where they got to make a decision, and if they foreclose tomorrow, God forbid, we'd be stuck with the problem.
Mhm.
So that's a big problem. We don't need to be stuck with.
I would probably just personally think that maybe a small amount money wise, just for future reference, if we have property and that we're already donate something, other people are gonna come and say, well, why you donate that lot to me to
Yeah.
build a house? The tax dollars, I know it's happened in other jurisdictions, but I mean, a minimal
Yep.
fee, just that you say, well, this whole, it's not public, or I don't know if it has to be public or not. But
Sure.
I think that at least then we can't have some other citizen come back and say, well, you guys had this other property, you donated stuff before, why are you charging? That's the only reason.
This was all the program that real President Bush started in like about 90, and Clinton kept up all the federal program. When she called me and explained this, and I went, yep, and ran it by Boz, and then gave him the directive, you run with this. Oh, it's pretty much, am I pretty much on that, with the federal money?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's they're restricted to use federal money, and there's some limits of what we could charge if we wanted to charge.
Right, and I don't think it's,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying value of the land, I'm just saying,
I know where you're going.
you know,
They
I don't care if it's $1,000, you say it that way in the future.
Oh yeah, you have something on record that it wasn't a
or
handshake
whatever.
deal. I'm with you there, and we're working that with them right now, what that common sense number is. And I'll give you how much they paid us so far. I'll give you the value of the buildings, the amount, they're giving me all that data, and we'll compile it into a proposal for you all to approve. Take it from there.
I think, right, we don't want to be stuck with land.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Not that one.
Yeah,
And you wanna
It's
be
not one
like
apartment, that's a bunch of.
temporary landlord at the credit union.
Okay, any other agenda items for next time? Alright, then, next meeting date, April 6th at 4:30.
Yep.
And without objection,